Hi everybody, this is Celeste. I'm a Nationally Certified Interventionist. I'm a recovery coach. I'm also a family coach. And welcome to my Tuesday Night Live. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight about something that relates to codependency. So oftentimes when we love somebody who's in active addiction and currently using, we have this strong desire to want to change the behaviors, right? To want to see them do well. And a lot of times this comes from a very helpful intention. So we want to see them stop using, we want to see them get well, we want them to stop stealing or whatever it is that they're doing to get their substances. So we spend a lot of time and effort and energy engaged in trying to change these behaviors. And the thing that I've really come to learn in this is that we can't love someone well, we can't pray them well, we can't nag them well, we can't try to help them well, right? So the desire for them to get well and to stop these behaviors really has to come from within. And the best thing that we can do when we love someone in that state of active using and abusing drugs or alcohol is to we have to practice a certain level of acceptance, because if we're continuing to engage in those behaviors and asking them to stop using, to ask them to stop with some of those behaviors and be more responsible, be more reliable, show up for family functions, support their kids, not to be passing out every night or whatever behavior it is that we're addressing. What that's going to do is it's going to create a lot of frustration and resentment and anger and conflict on both sides. And, while we're trying to do that maybe with the best of intentions, a lot of times it isn't helpful. So a lot of times what we have to do is detach from that to a certain degree. And we want the best for that person, obviously, and we want them to be an active participant in their life and ours, but we'll drive ourselves crazy with that. So the important part of that is realizing that while we can't love or pray or nag them well, we also can make the choice to not enable their behaviors, right? So when they're coming to us asking for money or a place to stay or, calling us intoxicated, we can start to set boundaries around that. And, that's one of the big things that I know you've heard me talk about before. So really, coming to that acceptance and realization that we can't nag them well or try to help them well, but we can put limits on how much we help them and how much we engage in that behavior and contributing to their active state of addiction. And so really, that's really hard, is to set boundaries and break that cycle of codependency and enabling. And I get how hard that is. And it really is about empowering yourself to start to set those boundaries. And I want to apply this to a non-recovery example, because this is something that I was talking to somebody about the other day, and something that's even relevant in my own life. I did this when I was in my 20s and probably even in my 30s, is that you meet somebody that you really care about, and I think this is especially common for women. You meet somebody that you fall in love with and you care about them, and they've got a lot of really great qualities, but there's also qualities about them that you want to change and fix, right? So it's almost like us women, we take it on as a project to see this guy's potential. If he would just change this, that, or the other, he would be such a good catch. And again, it goes back to trying to love or pray or nag someone into changing is going to create a lot of resentment on both parts, right? That person isn't going to appreciate the fact that you're trying to change them, and then you're going to get resentful that they're not willing to change because you love them and they love you and blah blah blah. And it's really not fair to either of you, right? So it's not fair to that person that you're expecting them to change, and it's not fair that you're with somebody that you feel needs to change, right? And I think that it's such a common example that I wanted to address this sort of in a non-recovery setting, that I think that's important because I wasted a lot of time in my 20s, falling in love with somebody and thinking, oh, if they could just be more reliable or responsible or whatever, it would, we could be so happy together. But then I'm asking that person to be somebody that they're not. And again, that's just not fair to either one, right? So, and I've almost become really too logical in my 40s about approaching relationships. And, when I see behaviors or things that somebody does, if we're new in dating, and if I'm seeing behaviors that just don't appeal to me, like if they're chronically late, is that something that I can live with for the rest of my life? Or, if they regularly cancel on me at the last minute, is that something that I can live with for the rest of my life? Or, if that person invites me over for a nice romantic dinner and I go to his house and think we're going to have a great evening, and I go to his house for the first time and there's dirty socks on the floor and laundry sitting in the basket that's been there for a week and piles of dirty dishes and toothpaste spittle on the mirror that's been there for 6 months, do I want to be that person's maid for the rest of my life? And, I know that probably sounds funny, but, those can be some red flags that you like this person, you're infatuated, you're falling in love with this person, and, those are the things that if you decide to live together or get married or pursue this relationship, those are going to be the things that drive you nuts and that are going to create so much frustration and conflict in your life that you're going to end up resenting this person and having a whole lot of conflict. So, and those might seem like really small things, but those small things can become really big things when, you're 5 years into it and constantly having to clean up his toothpaste spittle and pick up his dirty socks and his dirty ginch off the floor. Or he's chronically late and you've made an effort to be on time. So, really kind of looking at it from that perspective is, can I live with this person for the rest of my life with that behavior that's going to drive me crazy? So, that's my 40-something, very practical, logical approach to love. And, I always joke too that when I go into dating and I think, I treat it like a job interview. Like, I want to see your resume. I want to see your job experience to see how reliable you are. I want references to see if you show up for work on time. I want to see your criminal background check. I want to see your financial statement. And not that, again, that goes back to responsibility and security rather than gold digging. But, and I kind of joke about that, but I think, I very much do approach it from a logical perspective now. And if this is a person that I want to be with long term, and, short-term relationships can be great too, and having companionship or whatever, but if you're looking for that long-term relationship, it's good questions to ask yourself. So I want to thank you all for joining my Tuesday Night Lives. And, if you feel like you're in that situation where you're really frustrated and resentful, trying to help somebody from a good place change their behaviors, and you're finding that instead it's just creating a lot of resentment and frustration, send me a direct message and we'll get in touch. We'll do a phone call. We'll start to set up individualized family coaching plan for you to help you address some of these issues and how you can start to work past them. I look forward to talking to you, and have a good night.